Hello, good day to you. Hope you're doing well. I'm I'm doing well on this beautiful day. This soon going into the fall. Well, I got something to show you on this. It's something gonna be interesting, and it's going. This commentator, what he addressed about the coloration of the Messiah is interesting because I'm going to show you what he said is going to back up what some other people been researching. And the way you look at the Messiah, Jesus Christ, will never be the same. Some people have it, some people haven't accepted, but he's going to give the whole story. So I'm going to let him tell you his story, and I come back with my commentary.
Alright, all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, in the name of our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all say Jesus, some of y'all say Yahusha, some of y'all say Yahushua. Okay? In our last video, we went over how, the black Muslims had used certain images, of the Messiah, Yahusha, Jesus, you know what I'm saying, to sway people from believing in Christianity and going to Islam. Right? And here are some of those types of images. Okay, now, even with those images, you know what I'm saying, that were drawn in the 1500s, okay, you also had movies that have been produced in which they have also these images of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. Sometimes it's brunette or whatever, but check out these images. Something else that I've come across recently are these letters from supposedly from Pontius Pilate and Publius Lentulus. All right, so let me show you that.
Pontius Pilate discussing Jesus. What could he have said to the Roman emperor about the resurrection of the Son of God? Did you also know that the letter contains amazing details about Jesus' appearance that are not even found in the Gospels? This is what this episode is about, to discuss the content of this letter and what it says about Jesus. Now, I want you to judge for yourself as we read parts of the letter that Pontius Pilate wrote to Caesar about Jesus Christ. Pontius Pilate to Tiberius Caesar the Emperor, greeting. There has appeared in these our days a man of great virtue, named Jesus Christ, who is yet living among us, and of the Gentiles is accepted as a prophet of truth. But his own disciples call him the Son of God. He raised the dead and cured all manner of diseases. A man of stature somewhat tall and comely, with a very reverend countenance, such as the beholders may both love and fear. His hair is of the color of a chestnut, full ripe, plain to his ears, whence downward it is more orient and curling, and wavering about his shoulders. In the midst of his head is a seam or partition of his hair, after the manner of the Nazarites. His forehead plain and very delicate, his face without spot or wrinkle, beautified with a lovely red, his nose and mouth so formed as nothing can be reprehended, his beard thickish, in color like his hair, not very long, but forked, his look innocent and mature, his eyes gray, clear and quick.
Lentulus's influential family is mentioned by the Jewish historian Josephus in his work, Antiquities of the Jews. Despite this historical context, the authenticity of the letter itself remains a subject of scholarly debate. According to the letter, Lentulus describes Jesus with vivid and distinctive physical traits. Jesus is portrayed as having a noble and lively face, with fair and slightly wavy hair. His eyebrows are described as black and strongly curved, while his eyes are intense and penetrating, a striking blue. The letter also notes that Jesus' nose is rather long, and his beard, though almost blonde and not very long, is contrasted with his notably long hair, which has never been cut. His neck is slightly inclined, giving him a humble demeanor, and his tanned face, compared to ripe corn, is said to exude gravity, wisdom, sweetness, and goodness, without any hint of anger. Lentulus's account provides a detailed depiction of Jesus' appearance and character. He describes Jesus as a man of middling height, with a comely appearance, whose reverent countenance inspires both love and fear. Jesus' hair is said to resemble the hue of an unripe hazelnut, smooth near the ears, but curling into darker, shinier locks that wave over his shoulders. He wears his hair parted in the middle, according to the Nazarene fashion. Lentulus notes a smooth and calm brow, a face without wrinkles or blemishes, and a moderate color that enhances his beauty. His nose and mouth are described as faultless, and his beard is full and pointed at the chin, matching the color of his hair.
Alright, so, and hearing about this that I found on the internet and these YouTube videos that they're now trying to push to, continue to push this narrative, I went and I looked it up, and this is what I found. Alright, so, as you can see, this is worldeventsinthebible.com, okay? And it talks about the description of Jesus' letter is a hoax, okay? And you see this is updated January 27, 2024, Brandon T. Ward published, initially April 30th of 2022. Many years ago, I received a letter that contained a description of Jesus Christ from a church. I remember reading it with great interest. In fact, it contained two descriptions of Jesus. One was a letter from Pontius Pilate, and the other was a letter from Publius Lentulus. Yet I was left wondering, where did these descriptions of Christ originate? The letter from the church provided no source that left me suspicious, so I started researching the origin of the letters myself. This led to dead end after dead end. There were no legitimate sources. The internet certainly turned up many similar letters. However, since the letters are supposed to be a historical record, they should be nearly exact, but they were not. So that sent up another red flag. Most of the websites that had the description of Jesus' letters did cite a source. Copies are in the Congressional Library in Washington, D.C. However, after reaching out to the Library of Congress, they explained they had no such letter in their collection. I thought to myself, unbelievable. Since the church provided no proof for the authenticity of the description of Jesus' letters, and other sources I followed up on did not check out, it became an obvious hoax in my mind. However, I would later confirm these letters are a hoax. Okay? The Publius Lentulus description of Jesus. A few years ago, I decided to revisit this subject. That's when I discovered Christian scholar Dr. Edgar J. Goodspeed had long ago debunked the description of Jesus' letter. It was, and I wish I knew then what I know now, moment. I was quite shocked actually, since the church knew who Dr. Goodspeed was, as they cited his other works, just not this one. In 1956, Dr. Goodspeed penned a book titled Modern Apocrypha. Within this book are 16 famous biblical hoaxes that he uncovers to clear the mind of Christians. You would find the description of Jesus' letters in chapter 11. There, Dr. Goodspeed begins. A document known as the Description of Christ has of late reappeared in religious papers and books in various parts of the United States. In recent years, I have received copies of it from all parts of the country. In a well-known berry ranch near Los Angeles, the document is on display together with a portrait of Christ because it is presented as an ancient and presumably authentic document. It is worthwhile to state the facts about it. Dr. Goodspeed goes on to state the letter probably originated in Italy in the 13th century. There are no records of the letter's existence before that time frame. Goodspeed continues, in a number of medieval manuscripts, the description appears in the longer form of a letter from Publius Lentulus, governor of Judea, to the Roman Senate. Two important notes here. These letters are always a little different. However, if they were a true historical account, then they should have been nearly an exact match. Moreover, Pontius Pilate was the governor of Judea, not Publius Lentulus, which history has no record of during the time of Jesus. Alright, so you see, even as going so far as to falsify letters in order to push this narrative, is what we have still going on to this day, even though those letters have been, proven to be a hoax, okay? But why are they doing that? Because what we have in the gospel, gives us the only description that we have of Jesus, right? So let me show you that. Revelation chapter 1, verse 9 through 15, and it reads, right? I, John. Who is John? John is the apostle, Jesus' beloved apostle, right? Who sat with him, who walked with him, who talked with him, right? Who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was in the isle that is called Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of Jesus Christ. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. So these were all of these are these different cities where you had a bunch of people who had been converted and received the Holy Spirit, right? That's why it says the 7 churches. These were basically in 7 different cities, right? And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. So now he's telling you what he saw, right? Clothed with the garment down to the foot. Okay, so we don't have a problem knowing that he's got a garment all the way down to his feet, right? So you can't see nothing but his feet. And girt about the pops with a golden girdle. So around his midsection, he's got a golden girdle around him, right? His head and his hairs were white like wool, okay? So now we start thinking of hair is white, woolly hair, all right? But they try to tell you, it's not that. But it specifically says white like wool, as white as snow. So he's telling you that his hair, he gives you 2 references. One is that his hair was like wool, and his other was that it was white like snow, okay? So he's giving you 2 references. He don't say anything about his hair being straight. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. So now he tells you what his feet look like. Why? Because he had a garment on that went all the way down to his ankles, right? His feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So now you see what the Bible says, in its description of Jesus, But also now what has been coming to the forefront are all of these earlier depictions of Jesus. Now remember, the Hebrews didn't make images and statues and all that stuff, because they were forbidden to do so. But here we have earlier, pictures and drawings and stuff, that Europeans had, when it came to the disciples and to Christ. So let me show you this short video.
Russian icons by Father Vladimir Ivanov, recently rediscovered, we find the most interesting collection of Christian icons. It is of high interest for 2 reasons. Number 1, it depicts the various Christian icons as black. And number 2, this is not found in Western Europe, but well in Eastern Europe and Russia. This means that black people were venerated as deities from Spain to France, Italy, Germany, and all the way to Russia. In some, all over Europe. There are at least 500 black Madonnas in Europe, not counting the ones hidden in the Vatican. 128 in France alone, and you need to remember that these icons survived multiple waves of iconoclasm. This means that in the past, they would have been ubiquitous throughout Europe, before the great artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo were commissioned to start painting the classic Europeanized face of Jesus that we know today. So then, as always, if we ask the critical questions, if the mainstream historical narrative is true, and that black people have never achieved anything of note in history, why then were they depicted and venerated all over Europe? Even more intriguing, what were black people doing in so many depictions, descriptions, sculptures, and plays in Europe at all? For those who have been listening, it is simply because they were present in such numbers, and it yielded such influence that even the planned erasure and systematic destruction of the icons survived from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, from Germany to Italy.
AI, what are some dishes you should try in Korea?
Recommended food to eat in Korea are
From Germany to Italy.
All right. So now what we have here, as you heard in the previous clips, you heard them talk about the Black Madonna that they have hidden in the Vatican, okay? So what is the Black Madonna, okay? The term Black Madonna or Black Virgin tends to refer to statues or paintings in Western Christendom of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the infant Jesus, where both figures are depicted with dark skin. Examples of the Black Madonna can be found both in Catholic and Orthodox countries. The paintings are usually icons, which are Byzantine in origin or style, some of which were produced in 13th or 14th century Italy. Other examples from the Middle East, Caucasus, or Africa, mainly Egypt and Ethiopia, are even older. Statues are often made of wood but are occasionally made of stone, painted in up to 75 centimeters, 30 inches tall. They fall into two main groups, freestanding upon figures or seated figures on a throne. About 400 to 500 Black Madonnas have been recorded in Europe. With the numbers related to how they are classified, there are at least 180 Virgins Noires in southern France alone. There are hundreds of copies made since the medieval era. Some are displayed in museums, but most are in churches or shrines and are venerated by believers. Some are associated with miracles and attract substantial number of pilgrims. Black Madonnas come in different forms. Speculations behind the basis of the dark hue of each individual icon or statue vary greatly, and some have been controversial. Explanations range from Madonnas made from dark wood or Madonnas that have turned darker over time due to factors such as aging or candle smoke, to a study by Jungian scholar Ian Begg into the potential pagan origins of the cult of the Black Madonna and Child. Another suggestion is that dark-skinned representations of pre-Christian deities were re-envisioned as the Madonna and Child. Okay? So as you can see from some of these pictures, right? Alright, let y'all see some. To the list of Black Madonnas, you can see they're in Africa, so Asia, Japan, the Philippines, right? India, okay, Turkey, Europe, Austria, Belgium, Croatia, the Czech Republic, right? France, and you see a whole lot of them in France, right? Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, you see all throughout Europe, right? Kosovo, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Macedonia, right?
Hold on. There's something else.
What counsel this is? Pause this video and write what counsel you believe this is below. But warning, if you have a religion, proceed with caution. I walk with all religions, but I have a mission, and my mission is married to the truth. You have been warned. What I am about to expose to you will change the way that you see Abrahamic religion. I'm going to tell you a story, and this story holds the key. There is a surprise within this story, so make sure you're paying close attention. The Spirit of the Most High creates the earth, and His children are post-civilizational gods and pre-civilizational gods. And the post-civilizational gods have a council called the Council of the Gods. These gods are responsible for expanding civilization and the destruction of pre-civilizational gods, or what some may call the natural spirits of the earth. The natural spirits of the earth with the Most High created humanity. And humanity were hunter-gatherers. If you're still here and the information did not scare you away into scrolling, leave a comment below, letting me know you're still with us. These humans, like all organisms on the earth, had an assignment to be one with nature and to help create the rest of the earth in the way that it was meant to be. Humans had the gift to spread the divine garden or the forest. But the civilizational gods corrupt humanity, and the humans begin to live as agriculturalists. The humans start to create cities and civilizations. The humans can no longer be one with God and one with nature. They can no longer be hunter-gatherers. They had to live a new, brutal, hard life. So they were forced out from this beautiful place they were made to live in. If this story sounds familiar, Pause this video and write what story this reminds you of below. Some of the gods claim that humans will never be the same again due to the knowledge they have. They argue that they will try to be like the gods. The Most High tries to lead humanity back to what they were made for and to live one with nature. But the humans continue to deplete the soil, wipe out the biodiversity, create cities and other monstrosities. Eventually, humans create something in their civilization to reach the gods, and all civilizations must do this. The Most High is finally fed up. The Spirit of the Most High leads humanity to the responsibility of the civilizational gods. The Most High leaves Yahweh, his son, here's the surprise, a people called Yaqub, who eventually will be called Israel, as his portion. But this portion isn't enough for Yahweh, and he wages war against the gods to claim humanity. Did anybody ever wonder why Yahweh has an army of angels? Let me know if you want a video on that. If you want to know the history of Yahweh and the hidden truth about the gods, including Yahweh, if you want to see the world for what it truly is, there's a book you must get. They won't let me talk about the book in this video. Specifically, they won't let me name it. They won't let me tell you where to get it. So if you want this book, go to the comment section below. I put it in the comments. Make sure you like that comment because they're going to try to hide it. And does anybody remember going to a religious institution and being told not to question anything? I want to hear your stories below. I love you all. Peace. You're not going to believe what counsel this is. Pause this video and write.
And let's get back to finishing the story.
Macedonia, right? Malta, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia. We know with Putin, and all those black icons that he's recently been showing. Serbia, Slovenia, Spain. Right? We know what happened with the black Jews in Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, United Kingdom, North America, down in Costa Rica, Cuba, Mexico, Trinidad and Tobago, United States, Canada, South America, Brazil, and Chile, right? Now let me show you the post. Let's see what the post is.
Telling us that nations and
important things in life to think about than your internet. At Breezeline, we propel life forward with home internet.
Fired against the children of Israel to cut them off from being a nation.
Psalm 83, 3 and 4. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Forced assimilation, cultural suppression, and the need to survive in foreign lands led many to abandon their traditional practices. Over generations, language, customs, and religious observances were forgotten or significantly altered. Even to this day, many descents from the slave trade have no clue of who their ancestors are. Furthermore, the scriptures tell us that nations in times past have conspired against the children of Israel to cut them off from being a nation.
Psalm 83, 3 and 4. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4.
It's so reliable, you don't have to think about it. With our award-winning service.
Well, Alex, as far as meetings go, it doesn't get more historic than this one. As soon as we saw the two popes together, we knew that this was a one of a kind. They were both dressed in white, of course. The only difference being with Pope Francis was wearing a little sash and a little cape there. Pope Benedict XVI, the Emeritus, of course, walked to the helipad in his walking cane, looking very frail, waiting for the Pope Francis to arrive in his white helicopter, and they embraced in a long embrace. That was one of the first moving moments of this historic meeting, because after that they went into the summer residence, went to into the private chapel to pray together, and Pope Benedict XVI offered to Pope Francis the stool that is reserved for popes to pray in front of the altar, and Pope Francis said, "No, we are brothers, and we're going to pray together." And so they did. They kneeled together on the same stool, on a very symbolic moment, of course. So then they went into the library, and Pope Francis gave Pope Benedict XVI a small icon of Our Lady of Humility, and he said, "Well, the first person I thought of when I saw this icon was you." Again, expressing and extending his gratitude for the 8 years of his papacy. And they went on into a very informal lunch, and then he flew back to the Vatican with the same helicopter. Well, I must say, to the great disappointment of the hundreds of people that gathered in Castel Gandolfo, hoping for the Pope or the popes together to appear on that balcony.
Right. Another thing that's happening in the Philippines, right, that they have this thing called the Feast of the Black Nazarene. Right, my sister in the Philippines, Sister Mary, she had told me about all this, right? But here, let me show you this. The Black Nazarene, Spanish El Nazareno Negro, Filipino, right, is a life-size dark statue of Jesus Christ carrying the true cross, right? The venerated image is enshrined in the minor basilica and national shrine of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo, Manila, Philippines, right? So here's a picture of it, as you can see to the right, okay? The image was reputedly carved by an unknown Mexican artist in the 16th century and then brought to the Philippines in 1606. So you see, these things go way back, right? This ain't nothing that just the Hebrew Israelites are coming up with, right? Okay, the image was, pious believers claim that physically touching the image can bring miracles and cure diseases. The original image or its replica is given a religious procession 3 times a year. January 9th, the official feast of the Black Nazarene, commemorating the translation of the image from intramurals. Good Friday is liturgical feast, commemorating the culmination of the Passion of Jesus. And December the 31st, the New Year, commencing its novena. Okay? So here, let me show y'all a clip of what, the feast of them over in the Philippines and what they do.
The image of the Black Nazarene paraded around Old Manila, escorted by a sea of barefoot believers. The procession is one of the greatest modern spectacles of the Catholic faith. After being downsized for the past 3 years due to concerns over COVID-19, it returns this year with the Filipino brand of Catholicism on full display.
I'm wearing prosthetics, but I am here and I am alive because of the miracle of the Black Nazarene. I believe he has the answers to my problems.
The centuries-old statue of Jesus Christ was in a glass case for the first time, but this did not prevent devotees from scrambling to get on the float. They believe the closer they are to the image, the more they'll be granted its gift of miracle.
The last time the Black Nazarene procession was held, back in 2020, more than 2 million people took part. Now, the pandemic may have held back the annual tradition, but clearly, devotees have held on to their faith.
At one point, the float looked like it was going to tip over. It stopped moving for a while as devotees took turns climbing and dropping into the thickening crowd.
It feels good to be able to touch him. It feels like our aspirations are within reach.
The curses of Israel. There's a few things you need to know before you can go into the curses of Israel. First, you have to understand the scriptures from an ancient perspective. You have to understand what a covenant is. Now, whenever two nations or two people was going to come together, they would make an agreement. They would make a covenant. They would also have witnesses that will witness to the agreement of the terms and conditions of the covenant. In the covenant, they would set blessings if you abide by it, and it would set curses if you would break the covenant. Not only was they making a covenant with each other, but they actually was making a covenant with their lineages, their bloodline, their family, everybody that was within that person. You can actually see this in the scriptures. As when the Most High made a covenant with Adam, he made a covenant not just with him, but everybody that was inside of Adam, his generation. And as you go, you're through the scriptures, you'll see it more with Abraham. He made a covenant with Abraham, not only with that, with Isaac, and also with Jacob into the 12 tribes of Israel. And then when you look into Deuteronomy 29, when the nation of Israel was coming into a covenant with the Most High, Moses was the mediator, and Moses said, I am making a covenant with you this day, your tribes, your captains, your children. Not only with you do I make this covenant, but he said with future Israelites that he making a covenant with. So this is how I know that this covenant or the consequences of blessing and passed down to the children. Right? And this is why he says that I visit the iniquities of the father upon the children to what? The third and fourth generation of those that hate me. So when you go back to Adam, when Adam messed up in the garden, his consequences affected his lineage. And this is why it's important to understand that the things that we do can affect everybody that's inside of us. This is why he told the Israelites, he said, today I set before you a blessing and a curse. He said, choose life that you and your seed may live. So things that one generation do will pass down to the next generation. So we must understand that, because he said these, when you break these covenants, he said these covenants shall be a sign upon you and upon your seed. How long? Forever. So this is why it's important for us that are the children of Israel to understand what happened in ancient times that has passed down to the day, so we can see the problems and the circumstances of what we're going through. Because we always have wondered why we hate it, why were we lynched, why these things seem like we can never get above, why it seems like we the tail. But when you search it out, you understand that it's all about a covenant that we made with the Most High. He said, I'm going to take a people unto myself. I'm going to give them my laws and my statutes and my commandments so the earth can know my mindset, right? But he said, when I make this covenant with you, he said, if I give you these terms and conditions, if you obey them, I'm going to make you above only and not beneath. But if you disobey them, then the consequences of this covenant will not just be upon you, it'll be upon your children. So now, lo and behold, we see the problem that we have in America, the problem that we have on the four corners. We are under the curses of an ancient covenant that was set before time, that has passed down all the way to the children, just like we are under the curses that Adam messed up, that was passed down unto all of Adam's children. So now we see that these curses, notice how these curses are written in the scripture. It said these curses shall come upon thee. What does that mean? While you're in the land, you have specific curses that are to the land. That your crops was not going to come to fruition. That your king was going to be taken. That you was going to be besieged, right? Then he said these curses shall pursue you. That means anywhere that you go, if you're scattered, these curses is coming to pursue you and do what? Overtake you until you be destroyed. So these are the things that we are dealing with. These are the things that have been following our lineage. We wonder why we hate it. We wonder why we are living in a land that don't give regards to the old or to the young, because of something that was spoken, an oath that was spoken over us before we was even born, that now we understand. So how? What was going to be his whipping stick? He said, you provoke me to jealousy with following other gods, and I'm going to provoke you to jealousy, to put you under a people that was not going to give regard for you, to put you under a people that was going to take you to a land with language that you didn't understand, that was going to dominate you. And what nation did he send first? He sent Assyria. Then he sent Babylon. Then he sent Persia. Then he sent the Greeks, and then he sent the Romans all the way to America. But you can really first look at this even in the book of Judges. Every time they would break the covenant, he would send another nation in, and then they would cry for deliverance, and then he would redeem them. So this is why we was taken to America. This is why we was taken to the four corners of the earth, and that we was in captivity. Even our Messiah, Yahushua, who the world known as Jesus, prophesied in captivity outside all the other ones, outside of Assyria, outside of Babylon, outside of Greek, outside of Roman. He said there shall be a nation that's going to come in and lead you into captivity, into all nations. Then now we got to look in history after he spoke that what nation was led into captivity in the four corners of the earth. And you have to look at the transatlantic slave trade. See, among these nations, you will have no rest. You would be getting killed from the time that you step foot on this nation. First of all, how you was going to get there, and the scripture says you're going to get there through ships. But even on those ships, from those ships, you was getting killed and thrown overboard. And then all the way to America now, where you're getting killed in the street, you're getting beat, you're getting burned, you've been lynched, you've been castrated. He said among these nations, the psychological curses that'll be upon you, you will have no ease at all. Now name me a 15-year period since we have been here over 400 years that we have had ease. Through every time period we have been persecuted. Every time period we have been killed. Even up to the day in 2020 we still have to declare Black Lives Matter, because the same thing that was going on when we first got here is still going on now. We still have chains upon us, letting us know that this is the consequences from an ancient oath that we made, that we're dealing with now. Our life shall hang in doubt of thee. From the time that we have got here, our life was hanging in doubt to the day when you get pulled over by the police. Your life is hanging in doubt. You don't know whether to reach for your license, whether to reach for your registration, because everything that we have tried to do to comply, we have been killed for. Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, all these different aspects of things that we have been trying to do, our life will hang in doubt, not even just with oppressors, but even with ourselves and our own neighborhoods, walking through our own neighborhoods. What? Because of the curses, like the scriptures say, oppression makes a wise man mad. It was a point in time throughout our history that we was wise people, but oppression has made us killers of our brothers, murderers of our sisters, where our life hanging down of us, even in our own neighborhoods. We are getting international terrorism through other nations, and then domestic terrorism within our own neighborhoods. The scriptures is speaking for itself. Our life is hanging in doubt of us. So when we're talking about the curses of Israel, it's a few things you need to know before you can go.
So here's what I saw. I was reading about the prophetic word that I gave concerning Africa and about King Leopold of Belgium and what he did many years ago, centuries ago. And I was reminding myself that there is to remind the African nation and those that live in Africa, various parts, and you should share this well, and please stay with me, because I'm going somewhere with this. King Leopold basically took over Africa, and of course, there's a King Leopold type figure that is trying to move in that region right now. And while reading this, the Lord took my eyes and took me into the future. Took me into the future in what appeared to be the result or the reaction of an apocalyptic event. So I'm sitting here asking myself, am I hallucinating? What is going on, and how come I'm saying that you should share this with everyone? And here's what I saw. I saw cruise ships on every coastline in America. I saw cruise ships. These cruise ships were in Texas, South Texas, Galveston, Florida, Louisiana, California, wherever there's a coastline, Virginia, South Carolina even. Wherever there's a coastline, I saw cruise ships even up the Northeast Corridor, New York, Jersey, wherever there's a coastline city. I saw cruise ships docked there, and I saw people running into these ships. God, what am I seeing? I was seeing a mass exodus. It was massive. I had me astonished, because I'm like, what is going on? Something in this vision, this was a vision that I was seeing, was causing people now watch this, particularly African American people, to exit. Now, just as there was an exodus in Egypt, from Egypt, there is going to be an exodus from America, because something is getting ready to take place when the word gets out of what is happening. In the same way that the slave ships came from West Africa and brought slaves into America, ships, cruise ships, are going to return many back. So there is coming another exodus, but an exodus from America into what I heard was the motherland. Exodus from, I saw it, y'all. I saw it. I know what I saw. I saw it, and it was so real to me that I came to. I'm like, oh wow. He was showing me that he is getting ready to send his people back. Now, this is all going to happen. The Exodus is going to happen from America back into Africa, back into Jerusalem even. This is getting ready to happen. The Exodus is coming out of America and going back. And I saw thousands and millions even of people running toward the ships. And listen, they were leaving with money. What did you just say? They were leaving with gold. They were leaving with substance, even credit. Man, I don't know. All I know is what I saw. You take that up for God. I don't know. I'm telling you that something is happening. Something is happening already. And whatever it is, it's already moving. Now, I don't know all this means. I just know what I saw, and I saw it. This hadn't been a half an hour ago. You would begin to pray about it. That's what I would do. That's what I'm already doing. When I see a massive second exodus. Now, here is why. Here is one of the things that I also saw. I was reminded that God talked about his people being on ships, brought over on ships, and his people, oh God, having shackles and chains, shackles of iron and chains, because of their rebellion and because of their idolatry and because they began to do the things of the heathen. The world is going to hear this message. He's telling me even right now, he said the world is going to hear this message, because they're going to wonder how I know. I just saw it. I just saw it. And he said in the word, he said, I'm judging. I judged my people, but I'm not going to judge you forever. I'm not going to judge you forever. I'm going to return you back to myself. And I'm going to judge that nation that oppressed you. I'm going to judge that nation that oppressed you. That's what the Lord said to me. I said to myself, okay, so what's going to happen if I'm judging, if I'm done judging my people? He said, you're going to be in bondage for 400 years. If I judge my people for defying me, and then I'm going to judge the nation that, the cruel nation, he said, I'm going to judge them. It means America is under judgment. America is not going to want this to happen, but America is going to begin to fight. America is going to they're going to be too busy. The powers that be are going to be too busy handling something else. I saw it clearly, and I know what I saw. He said, I'm getting ready to judge America, and I'm going to make sure that the innocent, the people of God, and those that are my jewels are not caught in the crossfire. And I saw ships on the coastline, and I saw people of all nationalities, but in particular, his children, his nation, his people, Judah, the 12 tribes that are hiding in America, probably the prince of the power of the air that don't want this to go up. But I promise you, I'm going to say it again a little bit later. I promise you I'm going to share this. But I saw it. It came to me, and I looked with my eyes, my spiritual eyes, and saw it. And people were from all over the nation trying to get to, they were saying whatever city you could get to. And there were literal cruise ships. There were cruise ships that were, Lord have mercy, these cruise ships were waiting for us to come there. But now here's the other part about it, what I saw. I saw, hallelujah, I saw a transfer of wealth, money, substances
say this, the African American and the true Jew and the true people of God are getting ready to return back from whence they came in the way in which they came. They came in abuse and attack. They are going to return in comfort and wealth. This is what is getting ready to take place. I know what I saw it clearly. I wasn't trying to see it. I wasn't looking for it, wasn't speaking in tongues, wasn't doing anything. I was minding my business, and he opened up my eyes and let me see it. And this is not long. God, the Lord, showed me that he is getting ready. Exit us. He's getting ready to exit us. Exit us. Who is us? If my people, you see, his people, it's his people. Don't get mad, because he knows who his people are. So what I'm saying to you is, right now, get ready for it. If I be a prophet of God, this word shall come to pass. I have not heard this anywhere, but I just saw it sitting right there, thinking to myself, oh, what am I looking at? There is coming a mass exodus of people, especially those are the descendants of the slave trade.
We get it. Things are more expensive than ever.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the global Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
So I came across a brother by the name of Marvin Hampson on TikTok, who's asking the folks a very valid question, and asking Black people a very valid question. To the folks who are always telling Black people to go back to Africa, to go back to, quote, where you come from, end quote, and also to the Black people, he's saying, Black people as well, let's just think about this. What would happen if we all picked up and left and went back to Africa or to any of the other countries within the continent of Africa or other countries in the Caribbean? We went back and left these folks to themselves. What would really happen? Take a look.
White people calling for us to go back to Africa, go back to where we come from. They don't want us in America. They don't want us in England. They don't want us in certain places in Europe. Go back to Africa. Black people, have you ever thought about it? Suppose we give them what they want. What will their world be? Can you imagine? Just be a fly on the wall where it's all white people. There's no Black people, no soul, none of our input, none of our culture, nothing. Just the people that they say is the right people. The people that they say is the only people that deserve to be on earth. The racist white people that tell us to go back to Africa. Can you imagine if it was just them alone in America? Just them alone in England? Them alone any place? Can you imagine the world that they would be living in? I don't know about you, but I think it would be boring. Because we, Black people add the little sprinkle of seasoning. Black people add that texture. Black people, white people, yeah, take a look at your world. Without Black people, what do you think your world would be? We are everything right now. Look around, white people. What would you do without Black people being around? Think about that, but understand, this place don't belong to you. So there's no way you're going to be able to tell us to go back anywhere and we're going to go. But I need you to think about that very seriously. What would your world be without Black people?
Valid question. Let's just talk about it. our culture, our food, our beings, our whole aura, our flavor, our brilliance, our intelligence, everything that we offer, our music, our talents. I mean, at the end of the day, they come to our continent, they come to our countries to try and colonize. They're not doing that for nothing. They're doing that because what we offer is supreme, and they want it. So, as this brother is asking, what would happen if we said, bet, you want us to go back? We're all going back. And we're going to leave y'all here to live your, I guess, best life. What would really become of the palm-colored people? I guarantee you, they will be on the first thing smoking to come to where we are and continue to do what it is they are already doing, which is colonize. We are brilliant, and when we speak and when we use our voice and our platforms, they know how impactful it is, which is why all of them are saying, why aren't a lot of black people speaking out against what's going on in the Palestine? That's not our business. We don't have a dog in that fight. But why do you want us to speak? Because we and our voices are powerful. So if, again I say, if we were to take ourselves, all our resources, all our talent, and all of our brilliance, and left them to their own devices, what would really become of them? And I'm sure some of them are going to come out here and say, we'd be just fine. Yes, we want you to go. That's fine. We'll go. But there are two things you need to know. When we go, do not follow us. Do not come to our territories and our continent and our countries and try to colonize. Do not date us. Do not try to procreate with us. It will happen that the folks will be the minority. So you can keep telling us to go back, but what you also need to understand is the countries that you keep telling us to leave is not yours either. Think about it. The next time any of you approach us and tell us to go back to where we belong or where we come from, think about what your life will be. Let me know what you all think about this. Don't forget to like.
Wow. I am just blown away on the information I just put up here on this channel, on this video from both of my tablets. And I tell you, this is a wake-up call. And hey, you know, what the brother said about the Exodus and things like that, and the racism still goes on with the generations of children, even to this day, to black children. So when they said, come on, we have to get over it, we can be a better country, we're going to be better than this, I said, it was never better. When it came to simply by skin color and ethnic culture, it was never better. People tried living next to each other for 5 centuries, but when something became of a substance where an innocent bystander got harmed or deleted, and they had to look over and someone, all they had to do is blame another race of people, and they would tear down and torment that neighborhood where the descendants of slaves was. And this is a generational thing. This is generational. And I pulled all those put all the videos just to say it started with Jesus. And so the very first video, what the one video, if you control the image, you can control the people. If you can control the image to make them seem like this is what the image of what back in the time, because the inhabitants of different land, what did this Jesus look like? So the Roman Catholic Church knew and said that this is your Jesus, what it looked like, Caesar Borgia. And that's what he was saying on the video. Until this day, Caesar Borgia still is played in movies. Caesar Borgia is always the image of what they see when they tell the story of Christ. Caesar Borgia. So that's why they control. Because if they knew, they don't tell you about the revelation. You don't hear it in no black churches or African churches. You definitely won't hear it in no Hispanic churches. Why? Because this supremacy has been taught to all these different nations that the second brother talk about. They carry it with it. They carry it to their lineage towards us to this day. The jealousy, the envious, and hate. And what do you do when you jealousy him? You try to manipulate and craft and make them people think that they're inferior. Joseph Smith did it among the Mormons. If you look over in the Prophet Muhammad among his people. This is deep, y'all. This is deep. And even though our brothers or sisters are Mormons and somewhere in Islam and also some other country, but they never thought about what is the Messiah they're up under. And I have heard from people who have interpreted their book that they believe it's holy book. And there are more religions. There are more people that disgust us, so they control the image. And these are the same descendants of the image of people who control that keep that all of us all just based on the skin and particularly with a region of the most largest continent on the globe. Everybody's inferior. It's a superior. You go to different lands, it's like that. There's a people that look dark like you, speak that language, that are getting mistreated to this day. And they just kind of cast away. Look at the lands. Go to conquistador countries. Everywhere you go, Brazil, some parts of Latin America, the Middle East, you name it. But Russia came with the truth and showed it, changed the whole dynamic. Now you see what the world we've been programmed to think that you see how we were programmed as black people until this day. That's why. But the world knows. If you control the Messiah, you control the image. That's why. And how does it affect black people? Because there's a segment of us that haven't reached to the pinnacle point. They're your truth, and they want to keep you dumb. And then the people. Now, my question to you is: when you look over the Israel Day, are those the people that clearly from the scriptures to history to everything talk about? Do they fit the narrative? No. Some of them have controlled the narrative. They control everything. The media, the social media, everything. So they control the image. This is truth. Let truth be everything. Not man's truth. Most High's truth. Take care, be blessed. See you on the next video. Like and subscribe. Till next time, take care. Let this be a lesson learned. Black people, teach your children. Their skin is not a curse. It's the blessing of the Most High. Take care.